Hey y'all, with the unexpected success of my last video, I've decided to talk again about the Arkham series, except this time I'll be talking about the Suicide Squad, and the many ways writers fumble the storytelling potential and characterization of the team, including Rocksteady in their upcoming Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League game. Spoilers ahead. Now I must say I'm a little biased when it comes to this video, since I will not be purchasing the upcoming game, mainly because I have very little interest in it. I mainly play Rocksteady games for the curated single-player experience, so I don't really care for the modern AAA looter-shooter grinding loop that the recent game appears to have. But in saying all that, I want to discuss some of the story elements of the game, particularly how it adapts to Suicide Squad. This is to show how the team is frequently mishandled and how the concept's storytelling potential is never fully reached, not only by the games but also by most media, including some of the comic books themselves. First off, I must ask, what is the Suicide Squad? Well, they are a group of superheroes coerced into working for the US government in order to reduce their prison sentence. The team usually consists of C or B tier villains, having them partake in high-risk covert missions overseas. And from that alone, the concept is pretty intriguing, forcing our villainous protagonists to fight for the side of good, having the cast of characters frequently rotate as members die during missions, giving the writers the ability to choose from a pantheon of DC supervillains. So, the Suicide Squad should be a goldmine for storytelling potential, but as we can see by their latest incarnation, their story can be fumbled pretty badly, by writers fundamentally misunderstanding the team. And one of the ways this misunderstanding manifests is pretty apparent, just from the title of Rocksteady's latest game, Kill the Justice League. Why are we having the Suicide Squad kill the Justice League? Their express purpose is to handle covert assignments by the US government, and that purpose makes sense. They are a team of criminals willing to do bad things that serve their own interests. They don't consist of powerhouses like Darkseid, Brainiac, or even the Joker. They are much more grounded as a team with much more grounded purposes. So why are we having characters on the team like Deadshot, Harley Quinn, and Captain Boomerang fight and possibly win over ultra-powerful characters like Superman or The Flash? These characters regularly move faster than the speed of light and fight off Earth-destroying alien conquerors. So what are regular humans armed with a baseball bat, a sniper rifle, and a boomerang going to do with them? Not only is it illogical by the rules of the universe, it is significantly more boring from a writing perspective. These characters are essentially free from the baggage of the DC universe. The story can take them across the world to new locations with new characters, away from the tying down of continuity and away from the familiarity of mainline DC superheroes. So what are we doing having these characters stuck with the same type of heroes doing the same type of story? Ooh, what if Superman was evil? It's not like that's already been done a million times. Or another generic high-stakes plot to save the world from an alien invasion. Gee, I wonder if that's been done before. Rocksteady is effectively sanding away all the edges that make the Suicide Squad interesting. Even something as fundamental as their anti-hero persona has been stripped down, since no longer are they doing shady wet work for the US government, now they are doing arguably the most heroic thing someone can do, which is save the world from an extraterrestrial invasion. You've essentially replaced the Suicide Squad with a more boring Guardians of the Galaxy, but instead of flying around in space with infinite possibility, you've now locked the team into a very generic protector of the Earth dynamic, not like the DC universe had too few of those. And this segues into my next issue, being that nobody fucking dies ever. It's called the Suicide Squad, but they all survive. In the game, they all survive. In the 2016 film, literally only one of the members die. A character nobody cares for has 2 lines of dialogue and 3 minutes total of screen time. I can't even remember his name. And from this, can you really give a story with great high stakes? Because nobody actually thinks Brainiac will win and control the Earth. Nobody actually thinks Superman or Batman might lose or die on a mission, at least without being resurrected soon after. But with obscure DC villains like Slipknot, Bronze Tiger, and Catman forced to carry out difficult covert special missions abroad, Suddenly the stakes become real and palpable, because nobody expects for the mainline heroes to be killed off. They are way too popular and way too marketable. But for C or B tier villains, they are expendable. They can be killed quickly without any possibility of resurrection. The Suicide Squad can make death a very real and very serious possibility, especially when it comes to comic books, as the medium is notorious for having death mean very little. In itself, using these expendable villains as protagonists can open up new and interesting directions when it comes to storytelling. Like we've witnessed decades of storylines featuring our favorite heroes. Now we get a title not just focused on their villains, but instead focused on putting our villains in new scenarios in which they are forced to do both good and bad. Not only that, but the benefit of using these more obscure characters is that writers get to take more risks. As Comic Tropes put in his video on Moon Knight, generally using more unknown characters, writers can take more risks, because popular characters like Batman or Superman have an image, story, history, and canon that the company will attempt to oversee and control, sometimes to absurd degrees, having writers often butt heads with their editors. But with the Suicide Squad, it's freedom, using these unknown characters, making them yours, killing them off, even retconning their past storylines. Not only can a writer write original stories with these characters, but they can often define and make these characters iconic for decades. So why on earth are we still stuck with these characters? I mean, I like some of these members, but for some reason, Harley, Deadshot, Captain Boomerang, and King Shark, I feel, are always stuck on the team. Like, the team's fundamental nature is that they should be ever changing, with obviously some remaining, but most either being killed off or serving the rest of their sentence. I mean, Harley hasn't been a part of the squad in years in the comics. So why don't we get a story featuring a squad member like Catman? Gail Simone made one of the coolest redemption arcs, and have turned a joke of a character into something significantly more. Or how about a story with Bane, eventually learning to grow past his hatred of Batman? Maybe even try developing your own obscure villains, ones that no writer has yet to touch. But no, instead just recycle the same characters over and over again. It's fine. And I know DC does it for marketing reasons, probably just to tie in to their latest film. But that in itself fundamentally misunderstands not just the comic books, but also the film they are talking about themselves. Because while not perfect, that 2021 film perfectly encapsulates what makes a great Suicide Squad story. Using and reinventing obscure characters like Bloodsport, Peacemaker, Polka Dot Man, and Ratcatcher to tell an original story. Having the BT characters partake in more grounded encounters in new original territory. With multiple of those characters, you actually grow to somewhat be invested in when they eventually die. It's an R-rated bloody affair, with characters that actually appear to be somewhat villainous and self-centered. Real stakes, real characters, and maybe literally the only good project audiences have responded to in years. And it's actually quite simple and highly effective. But with the way DC treats the concept and how fixated the company is on making everything marketable or brand safe, I fear that the Suicide Squad's potential can never be fully reached. Having its potential occasionally grazed by great writers or directors, but with DC ultimately failing to really capitalize or understand the storytelling goldmine they are sitting on. But for what it's worth, you still have a pretty good movie by James Gunn and some Suicide Squad comics of varying quality. Here's hoping he knows what he's doing for the next DC EU. Side note, I fully predict that Rocksteady will come out and announce that the new Suicide Squad game is non-canon to the Arkham series. If not, then some multiverse shenanigans will occur and the squad will travel to a new universe, exactly like the Arkham games, except without the Justice League Brainiac stuff. Maybe some type of Crisis on Infinite Earths rebooting the universe type shit, because this This is not good.